Dramatic.
Dramatic, yeah. I mean, sorry, did you say traumatic or dramatic?
I said dramatic. I was just pondering the similarity, finding the poetry in it.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, good talk. It was nice seeing you. All right, later.
All right, good to get a couple of pontificating middle-aged white guys recording their thoughts for the unwashed masses.
I mean, if I don't have this, what identity do I have? Is really where we're.
Yeah, it's funny how many conversations, how many moments like that have coming up lately that are just so connected to what I'm talking about in therapy over the last couple of weeks. Whatever that, as that shifts over time. Right. Carl sent his email today or his newsletter, his weekly newsletter, basically about like rampant apathy in our space. And I was like, my goodness, man, like that's a wonderful, active, fervent, supportive, part out loud kind of thing to send out to a bunch of people. That's a professional group. You know, it wasn't about whatever, 6 ways I've learned to hack my son's baseball team to assure B2B growth or whatever. It felt nice. I guess we're recording, huh?
Yeah, we start with the good stuff. I mean, but that's what editing is for. So
I did realize my one big question for you is how much do you expect to edit? If I rip a giant fart by accident, you going to cut that out? Or if I...
It depends on how good the timing is.
Yeah, right. I am really good at the timing.
That's really always the question. If it's just random, like I'm probably going to cut it out. But if it like punctuates a thought or undercuts a serious moment, then it's staying in. Let's growth hack some apathy here. First off, how did that make you feel? Did you feel seen? Did you feel misrepresented?
I mean, I posted to our group in the water cooler. I forget what I said. I'm not going to switch over right now. I'm embarrassed at how much dust is showing on this. It's stupid.
I can't see it.
Riverside.
Now I can see it because you pointed to it. But
I posted saying basically, something like feeling seen by somebody who is, I don't know, in my professional headspace and running a group of, I don't know, what is it, 900 or 1,000, 1,200, like whatever it is now.
Yeah.
People who also are. And so it does make it validates it. It validates that as an ingredient in the stew that's going on up here.
And it's quite stewy. Yeah. I haven't read the note yet, but just, contextually speaking, it is not too far afield from where I'm at mentally. Would I say apathetic? Totally, probably. It's probably not fully the right term to capture it, but it really does feel, it does have a small bit of like, well, what's the point?
I was going to go, is nihilism? Is it like apathy on the side of nihilism?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably shares the same zip code, but it's, I understand intellectually that I could look at apathy or nihilism and say, no, thank you, I'm going to do something else. But I mean, it doesn't really solve my cash flow problem.
Yeah.
But, like, or whatever the problem du jour is like putting on a happy face is sort of the long con. That's not a right way to say it either.
No,
it's a longer term thing. And it's, I feel like it's easy to get caught up in the apathy parts when the short term chaos is so loud,
Interesting. Apathy is almost too quiet or passive or non-participatory of a word to describe.
I think so. It's in the right space, but I think I was given the opportunity to help somebody out with house sitting, and because they were going away for a month, their person canceled semi last minute, and they asked me if I would do it, and I was like, well, okay, because I have the internet there, I have the internet here. What's one place to another? But while I was there, I had a way more free time than I normally do. And I filled it some with things that could be monetized if that's important. And I filled it some with things that who cares, right? Played a game, whatever. But I think it really underscored just how much I've drifted away from my profession during this time. Like it made me really realize it.
Tell me more about that.
Well, this is the thing, is like I haven't the market has been dead for me, right?
Yeah.
And I don't have any ability to control it, and I have very little ability to influence it. So there are some things I can do to be seen, that kind of thing. Write a LinkedIn post about my son's baseball team or whatever. But there's kind of not much I can do other than hope for things to change. And in that time, I get sort of a taste of not being that professional life, which is sort of like being retired. And I find the apathy sort of creeping in, but it's sort of an aggressive is not the right word either. Like aggressive is too aggressive, but there's something that's close to that of I'm having trouble with words
Proactive
since
or active, maybe?
1973. Maybe
Yeah.
it's more of like an active, vile hatred. No, that's too far. Yeah, it's an active reaction to like, I kind of don't want to do this stuff anymore because
That's where I
of
was wondering if you were
how,
going.
yeah, how many decades of just hitting my head against the wall of trying to help people change whatever they're delivering to their customers or whatever, with bits and bobs here and there of, oh yeah, it worked. Hey, we worked together. Hey, you listened to your customers.
I'm going to shake my head off my body,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
nod my head off
yeah.
my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I also have,
it's
I'm also, silver in the beer. And yeah, I've been doing this for 27 years, 27 years. And this week I was working with a client through another agency in the bureau. So we can talk maybe offline about who can verify my story here. But like, we were getting along super well. Fantastic client, fantastic partner agency, like just like dream situation where like the client steps back and listens to your expertise, but participates and appreciates and uses words like love and all caps things. It was just like lots of great stuff. But midway through the process, it came time for our people on their side to get approval on what we've been working on from their bosses.
mm-hmm.
And their bosses, one or two, individual people, did the swoop and poop. Like they came in and they were suddenly like, no, I want it to be this color and I wanted to use this other font from out of nowhere. But also like generally loved the whole thing. Like 98% of it was great. It's just, can you change the font you're using on everything? And a couple of things that made me feel like what I hate to be, which is a pretentious fucking designer.
Mm-hmm.
And so after a couple of back and forths with this client, they at one point said, ultimately, at some point, it just kind of comes down to opinions. And I got sort of triggered. And I said the thing that I often want to say, but never do, but we were getting along so well that I thought I would try it, which is, in my opinion and in my experience, when it comes down to a bunch of subjective opinions about the design, you should probably go with what I actually said was the deciding factor there is taste. And what I meant by that is somebody like me who's been cultivating design opinions in the digital space for decades has a certain discerning eye and experience about what works and what doesn't and for whom and when. But very understandably, instead they're like, oh, so if you're going to say that you're the only one on this call who has taste, then this conversation is over. And I was like, oh, she is entirely right to take it that way. That is not what I meant. But I don't know if what I did mean would have felt a whole lot better. Because ultimately I was saying like, but it's this thing that we're talking about of like clients bring us in because they don't have the in-house expertise to do this stuff. And then we tell them what we think they should do in this space. And they are ultimately the approver. They are the arbiter of what good design is.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if they knew that, why are we in the room to begin with? And also just financially, you're just not, as a client, you're just not getting the return on investment if you're not letting the experts in this space just to do the work that the contract says that you're hired to do. But I can't figure out another way. I still have not figured out a model. There's the famous story of, is it Saul Bass and the Chase logo, where he was at dinner at some high rise.
15 minutes
napkin.
of, yeah.
You're not paying me for the 15 minutes. You're paying me for this. Right.
Whatever. Yeah.
I feel like there are some designers, a quarter of a tenth of a percent of designers who do that kind of thing. I just can't bring myself to be like, oh, well then fuck you. Like, if you're not going to take my opinion, then I'm not iterating. What am I, like, just some pedestrian, order taker? No, I'm Saul Bass. I'm not Saul Bass. I don't know how to talk about this without feeling overly full of myself.
I know what you mean. No, I know what you mean, though. And I think I'm having two thoughts that are trying to escape at the same time, and they are, I know what you mean, and also I understand their perspective.
Yeah,
and I know you do too. But it's like, they're absolutely right. It is all subjective. But you've got 27 years of experience being subjective about that thing.
Yeah.
And they have 27 minutes of being subjective about the thing.
But the thing is about their thing, which they have way more context than I do. So, like, to them, sometimes, I think a lot of the time to them, they are saying this is, if you got them to word it this way, I think they would agree that they're saying this won't work well for us, which I think is valid. Like, that's in the direction of valid, of
sure.
They know their market. They can sort of non-consciously sit in their target customer's shoes and look at the thing that we're proposing. I'm also head waggly about it. Like, it gets into the uncomfortable gray area.
I know we've both worked with people who are at that high level stakeholder level and who really don't understand their customers or their market, or they did 20 years ago when they were in it, but whatever, But I think to me, that's the thing. It's like, okay, and we'll pick on the font. I don't know what
it's a low hanging fruit.
The real issue is, but
yeah.
But to me, that sounds like, oh, this is an executive that needs to have an opinion about something to put their stamp on it. And it's like, do you need the font changed? Well, okay, but what is the risk and the cost to your bottom line if the font stays the way that I have it displayed on these mock-ups or whatever?
Yeah.
Because that's what it's really about. It's like, you're asking me to change this thing because, in order to what? And I bet it's not to protect the bottom line. It's to have an opinion, which is okay, but let's talk about, like, what's the real motivation here,
Well, I think a lot of the time they would think if they think that they're, again, this is kind of a silly example, but it's just easy to connect to.
Yeah.
If they think that this other font is better, that's why they're proposing it. I imagine that if asked, they would say that, yes, this font has a better chance of improving our bottom line than the one you're proposing. That's why I think it's better. Like, I wouldn't propose one that I think would be worse for us. Ultimately, like, how does it not eventually come down to surrender or trust, if you want to put it that way? You know, and this is a client that, in this example, that I got way more of that than typical. But what is it like?
Way more of what?
Way more of them trusting what I was recommending, even if it was counter, and not about, like, dalliances like fonts and whatever, but much more back on the messaging and structural and strategy and who are we talking to and why and what. But yeah, I mean, so to the apathy thing, I've been doing this long enough and bumping into the same wall enough times that exactly what you were saying, there's a little bit, or plenty, and a growing amount of something that gets close to what's the point. But that's, again, too far, because the point is the other 90% that they're not pushing up against. Yeah, I just haven't gotten to that, I don't know, actualized space where I'm so stably structured in my own internal confidences that things like that won't temporarily break me way down. And it's,
well,
what a lovely place to live.
Unsurprising, given that it's akin to picking, well, sorry to be gross, everybody, but it's picking at a wound.
Yes.
You're not being hit by it for the first time, you know?
Yeah.
And so, of course, the reaction is out of
Outsized.
proportion, but it's not. It's the 100.
It's a really good point.
And so, of course, the reaction is more
It is like
than you
Saul
want it to
Bass.
be.
It is like,
Yeah.
yeah. It is like Saul Bass, where I'm not paying for 15 minutes that they gave me that feedback. I'm paying for the 30 years of it.
Yeah, and I like, the right thing to do is not submit. The right thing to do is to not attack. The right thing to do is to understand and find some, sorry to use the C word, compromise and move forward. Because that's the thing, and that I think that hurts a lot of the conversations that we have, is they've worked with designers. I'm just broad stroke there, of who will acquiesce. They're like, oh, you want this
Yeah.
font? Okay. And it's like, hey, you acquiescent person, you're hurting us all by doing that, because the point is to get to a level of understanding and raise the level of education, both for you as you're raising your education level with their industry or their business model or whatever, and them with an understanding of the impact that knowledgeable design choices can have on the trust they have with their customers or whatever.
I also have two thoughts trying to run out of my face at the same time. One is, do you think of this role, this job, the space, as a service provider? There's something about phrasing, about service provider or expert, or more the David C. Baker, like unrepentant super expert in the room, and you can take it or leave it. Fuck you. Like, if you want to get your money's worth, you're going to listen to me. And if you don't, fine, I'll go be an expert somewhere else. But on the service provider side, like somebody handing out towels at the cabana at the hotel is a service provider too. And they're very acquiescent. And that's part of, a customer experience. And certainly, yes, you hit on like a sort of career milestone, like earlier in your career, you have less of a grounding to stand on. So of course you're going to be more acquiescent. And now we can segue. I don't want to. One could segue from that into how there is now no way to be a new designer. Like, there's no space anymore for like new designers and new developers. You've got AI for that now. I don't know. The whole thing's going to collapse. And then, I don't think I'm going to get it back. I knew I wouldn't get it back. ADHD brain. I followed one rabbit path and I couldn't follow it back upwards. But I liked what you were saying. That's what I remember subjectively.
Yeah. And semi answer to your question that wasn't still fully a question to me is, I don't feel like I'm a service provider. I feel like I am a itinerant partner. So what I do is I come in and I partner with you to get you to the point where you don't need me anymore, and then I move on to help somebody else. I don't think I've ever, even early in my career, because I'm an asshole, not really, because I didn't know any better, I've never been a service provider. It's always been, hey, we need this button to be green instead of blue. And I'm like, why? Why? Your brand is green or blue or whatever,
whatever follows the story. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've always questioned. I've just, in my one fewer years than you career, gotten better at figuring out how to ask the question.
Yeah.
It used to be like, why do you want to do that? With the attitude.
Right.
And like, I'd say probably my first 3 or so years doing that. And then it slowly dawned on me, oh, this isn't working.
Flies with honey,
Like, it was working, but it was making problems for my future self. And now it's more like, I'm willing to listen, but I'm not going to bend for dumb ideas, It's just like, come on, man.
What happens when they come up? I mean,
honestly, don't tell anybody.
It's not being recorded.
Don't tell anybody. Sorry, I used my radio voice there.
No, I know. And actually, I was going to tell you, in case you need that for the future, there's a nice difference there. It really does work.
Yeah. Well, I put the microphone closer to me that way.
Yeah.
I just don't like having it in the shot.
barely reaches.
ADHD brain figured out the title of this episode.
Twice.
What the fuck was I saying? Oh, yeah. Got it. I put in things that don't matter so they can react to it and fix it, and then I can move on. I put in mistakes. I put in things that are easy to change, and it gives them a sense of contribution. It's not for everybody. It's just for that type of person who's very ego-driven and needs everyone to see them making commanding decisions. I'll say that's most people in business. Most guys.
And I mean, if you're going to be talking about people who are approving work, they tend to be higher up in the triangle.
Yeah.
And the ones, you don't get higher up in the triangle in this setup unless you're more overconfident.
But ultimately, like, I'm just there to guide. And if they want to make the decision that's going to be dumb, go for it. It's not my money. I mean, that's how I feel about internal work, too. Actually? Like, if I don't have equity in the... Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get to that actual remove. Yeah. I mean,
ultimately, it is their money. They can do what they want to do with it. But I will say the type of stuff, like, we're using the font thing as sort of the straw man for the conversation, and we can continue to use that. And it's like, okay, is it going to take me 3 seconds to change the fonts in there and have it cascade around? Okay, fine. Do it. Tidy it up where it needs to be tidied. Or even better, I can hand that off to somebody internal to them to do it.
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, go for it. But mostly I'm not going to do it because I've given you advice that is subjective, that's what you mean by but informed. Yeah. And you're going to choose a different direction. I mean, this is my example, the font, my version of the font example is, this is from, probably like 12, 13 years ago. But we were doing some research, and it was for this healthcare organization who was getting into DNA testing. And we laid it out, and it was basically like, this isn't what we want from a customer perspective, for potential customer, because the product didn't exist. So, and they were like, yeah, this doesn't fit with what we want. We wanted a different answer. I was like, well, you're not going to get a different answer unless you ask very leading questions, like product managers do. Hi, product managers. Kidding. Anyway.
Everything's a spectrum.
And so then they went and they hired a company whose name rhymes with McKinsey. I'm sorry, is McKinsey. And McKinsey gave them the answers they wanted. And it totally flopped. $50 million project. Complete flop.
Why does that hurt?
It's painful. And it's like, I told you this was wrong. We could have fixed it. We could have made it better. So much cheaper. But it was the ego of one person who then everyone else acquiesced. And it just was fucking waste of time and money and energy. And ultimately, all I can do is say, not told you so, but like, here's what I told you. Here's what I think you should do. It's your money.
Yes. It sounds like round one of the research pointed out the direction they might try next.
Yes.
Somebody pointed out, so I was talking about how, touching on what we were talking about earlier, before I went out on my own, I tried to have jobs. And whenever you have a job, you've got a boss. And I just don't do well with bosses. And I was, telling the story of the one job I left with a close friend. We're like the 2-man design team at 4 straight jobs. We kept going together and being UX and design. And so he and I went into to quit after much tension. And I literally got down on one knee after he said, we're going to leave. I got down on one knee in the little room and I fist pumped. Like this was a moment to celebrate to the guy who we are abandoning him without a design team. It's just like supremely, just disrespectful on a human level, just really rude. And well, this fits into the wider context of at this company, it was like all the really super talented, the talent, like the lower tier of the organization. I'm still close with a lot of them. They've gone on to great things, just like lightning in a bottle. And then you had this management who just like wanted to sell the email list and like get a quick buck and all that kind of thing. And in my telling with my friend, this connects with my most recent attempt to have a job for the first time in 15 years, where I had a boss at a company that I also won't name, but who purchased my company. And he just made everybody there feel terrible, feel like if they allowed opinions to come out, very soon at some point he was going to tear them down in a very quiet way that made them feel like they must be the problem. It's just really like under the surface, but consistent characterological behavior. And every place I go at both of these companies and at others, I end up sort of fomenting a coup. Like I end up going to those people who are down here and wanting to help them feel seen and respected and find ways that they're not getting from their leadership to show up in the workplace and more bravely take up more space. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is a really long-winded way of saying it. Like this friend said that he has heard, and I don't understand the connection, that people with ADHD often have, this is the phrase, an intolerance for injustice. And that phrase has been like locked into my brain as this characterological part of me. And it's such a like small, I'm not like, I don't know, fighting crime on the steps of City Hall, that kind of injustice. Mm-hmm. It's just, and then that I'm having trouble reconciling that with our whole thread around clients getting, I want them to feel good. I want them to feel heard. I want them to feel effective and successful. And there's a certain amount of like, I want to help them get out of their way so that the mayonnaise example you brought up before with McKinsey, like so that we don't have to repeat. I don't want to see that happen. There's an injustice there. And like, there's the one guy, it sounds like, who made that, or one person. I'm jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, it was a guy.
Who made that decision. And then 5 or 10 or 20 or however many people around that were victimized by it. And it's mostly for those people that I want to prevent that from happening to them. And especially when you're an outsider, when you're a consultant brought in and you see that guy doing it, you have more, it's more in the quiver. Like it's more possible for you to do it. Your whole livelihood doesn't depend on this. It's just this client.
Right.
But also I don't know that coming in and telling that guy, like having the extra round of arguments about it, that probably just gets you like demoted in influence in the situation. All the paths seem not great in a situation which is predictably going to happen fairly frequently because of the dynamics we talked about. And therefore you go to the apathy and you're like, why am I going to keep getting at bats where I don't know, my at bat metaphor falls apart, where I got hit by pitch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, I'm having fun with you bandying about my personal therapy with my professional therapy.
Well, I'm going to give you a pro tip, Lee. Instead of saying fomenting a coup, say upskilling.
Yeah, okay.
Throwing that out there.
Yeah. Depends who I'm talking to.
Well, yeah. So I wrote something about this recently and put it out in the public, so I don't mind saying it. But one of the things, especially when I'm managing a team, whether that's as a fractional leader or an internal person, or just sort of like skirting that mentoring of you're an external person who's working with an internal team. The thing that always drives a lot of my interactions with the designers, UX people, is what can you get out of this experience? Yeah. This job you're in. And maybe this place isn't right for you long term. And so what can you get out of it that you can take with you to your next job? Use this place, since you don't have equity in it. Your virtual equity is the skills and capabilities you build while you're there. You're investing in yourself, right? And so, there's a part of me that has looked at past experiences like that where I haven't set out to foment a coup, but I've
And
certainly
of course, I
looked
was
at
being
the.
playful too, but
Oh, I know.
I considered it.
I'll say for legal reasons, I haven't set out to foment a coup,
Right.
but for
Sure.
anecdotal reasons, I actually did. But yeah, it was basically like, y'all need to get out of here because you are being driven to burn out by your boss, and you
And
don't
at your
deserve
stage,
that.
you might not know it's
And you
not
might,
just
yes,
part of
you
the
might be
process.
like,
You
oh,
don't
this is
have to.
how jobs are. Okay, this is what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do. Okay,
And
no, it's not supposed to be
I
like that.
mean, agencies are built on that. Like the larger agencies scale frequently, largely on the money they can make on younger talent. Like you can bill like the multiple for what you can bill on hourly for them, so much higher than what you can bill for the big heads. And so they grind all the work they can down there and get as much of the hours and the work down there and squeeze more nights and weekends out of them. And also
But
it
I
does,
think
I mean,
you're.
there is something to be said. You do get, I mean, that does often pay off. You become one heck, like it's like going to, I don't know, whatever. It's like going to the Matrix, just getting jacked in. Like you're going to come out
I
after a
know kung
year.
fu, right? Yeah,
Yeah. And you're going to know Kung Fu. Yeah.
but I think what I want people to start doing is start being a lot more intentional about it. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm constantly at odds with product management. Okay, use this job to fix that. Use this job to understand how to have quote unquote difficult conversations. Use it to understand how to both undermine and support somebody at the same time, right? Like
Yes. Drag
make
them kicking and screaming
make
into their own
their
better future
terribleness less effective,
so that they
which
get a better thing.
ultimately so that they get a better thing.
Yeah.
But to your point about like the justice part, I am right there with you because it's like I think ultimately what I want is to matter.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, it is ego driven to an extent, but it's not fully that. It's, I want to matter. I want to have an impact that's positive on people. And I think the part that pokes at that wound is the people who they're feeling like they matter is when they keep other people from mattering. And so often those people end up in, excuse me, in decision making positions. And it's, yeah. And I think because I keep running into it, it's just so exhausting. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out now, instead of, falling headlong into the apathy, which can be rewarding in its own right.
I mean,
Don't do it, kids.
Yeah. No,
Is
it's intoxicating.
how do I replace that need to matter with like other ways of having impact? And that's what I'm kind of stuck with is like this path hasn't worked. Like it's worked some. I've worked on interesting things, but I've run into more and more people who just don't want the help and just want a service provider to pull the design lever on the assembly line. And that's not me. So where do I fit in? And that's the part that I've, for the past couple months, been trying to figure out. And then the next question is, how do I monetize that so I can do my part to keep capitalism running?
Right. No, you got to keep the banks fed. I mean, same to, I don't know, most of those sentences. I mean, I am pulling in the personal psychology and the professional together again. I'm on a lifelong, I really don't like the way the word journey has been used over the last few years. I'm on a lifelong quest to sort out falling from the grace of what I expected myself to be doing to the world in my, teens. I thought I was going to literally, like, at whatever I wanted to do, I figured I would be able to do that. It was just, I wouldn't do the other things just because I chose to do that. But if I wanted to be an astronaut or a president or whatever,
The
turns out.
classics. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Those are the classics. Drug dealer, kingpin. I don't really know of any other male archetypes. Those are the ones I'm aware of. So clearly I'm not. like not only have I not chosen to do those, but I don't have the capacity to the potential to do them, which is a big shock to the system. Like it was part of my foundational programming, and I'm still trying to sort out how to matter in this smaller way. And for a long time, very truly, I have felt that I just want each person or a lot of the people that I interact with to be a little bit better than they were as in whatever way for having known me or interacted with me, really interacted in the moment. And I picture it like a bunch of little pebbles. This is so quasi poetic, bunch of little pebbles in the pond. And like they each one, like they're that little interaction makes them a little warmer, and then they're a little warmer, and everything just gets a little better. And the deathbed sort of thing, like a bunch of people saying that they had small moments with me that made them feel a little warmer, and that's great.
Right.
If we all did that, everything would work out fine. But the monetizing of that is tough. It makes it really hard to aggressively price things. I mean, you do the lottery the lottery hypothetical. If you won the lottery, what would you do? I mean, mostly my answer is like Peter in Office Space. Like I would do nothing. For so long, I would do nothing. Would wander around, stare at the sky.
I'm just going to chime in here really quick and say, you can do that right now.
Way to follow.
Just throw that out there. Like,
Yes. But you can't get paid for it, and it takes away time from...
Shit. All right. No, I'm back with you now. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think that's literally the other side of what his neighbor says at that point. Yeah. So the closest I've come from my stuff is I would like to work, and I very truly, deeply, thoroughly, earnestly would like to work with people who hate computers, who hate design, who hate all the things, who hate agencies, because I hate computers and I hate design and I hate agencies. I can just do them. Can speak them. I can get these things out of the way for these people who need this crap, because we're in this godforsaken hellscape where you need to have a fucking website. And if you want to be able to sell plumbing parts or whatever, like we live in this world where in order to get through, you need to have a Squarespace or whatever. And I don't want everybody to have to burn some percentage of their lives learning computers. Go get your hands dirty doing things over there, and I'll take care of this crap. And I mean, this has been my narrative. I can't say that I'm putting any real effort into breaking in. This is where you get to that next step that you were talking, like, how do I monetize this desire now just into a reasonable living? I mean, I've told to so many people recently, like my dream role right now would be to be the one-man creative and marketing, just like the creative guy for a toilet bowl manufacturer. Like somebody who's like some company who's going out there and just making things that something that people need, that is totally not glorious, but is so much more important than the next fucking AI B2B tech SaaS startup I'm going to work with. And I feel like I would be more grateful to them for what they do. They would be more grateful to me for what I do. They would be less up in my shit. I would be less up in theirs. I just feel like, and then there's more benefit there. Like the world is improved more by these people getting to succeed more than by another VC funded Bay Area, whatever, out of the factory, getting to hawk their wares more. I guess I'm looking for somebody who shares my level of bitterness at the, I don't know, computer, internet, Bay Area oriented machinery. Also, it's more AI proof.
Hopefully.
AI toilets.
I don't know. It's having worked on an AI toilet project.
Is it for real? Is it one that like measure your fecal stuff for like medical stuff? Yeah.
It's a camera that looks at your poo and keeps track of and warns you when you might want to go talk to a doctor. It's not a medical device. It's a wellness device, because then there's less hoops to jump through. But
thought you said poops.
Yeah, no,
not hoops.
Poops.
Less poop to jump through.
Less poop to jump through.
Yeah.
Poops. Yeah. No.
Well, that's
Looking
so good.
Forward to the transcript on that.
Yeah. Put it right in the cloud. Please index that right next to my name.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Matthew Oliphant, Poop Hooper. Poop Hooper. There we go.
No, it's so good verbally.
Yep. Now I'm stuck on it. Okay.
Yep.
It's my new.
Yeah. How can we How can you monetize Poop Hooper?
How can I monetize Poop Hooper?
LinkedIn
Good
bio.
word now. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like one of the things that I've seen other people have, but their motivation is a bit more is not is not in line with mine. Not that I am against their motivation, but just we don't match. But I see them, and it's this. Well, I'd say it's probably like 10 people or so who there's probably a core of 3 or 4 of them. And they sort of treat projects like a repertory theater in a way
Whoa. Yeah,
where,
keep going.
or that's my how I think about it, where it's like, hey, we're going to do a startup around this area and do it really well, really quick, grow, get bought by the main competitor because we piss them off so much because they like what we're doing. And they do it over and over and over again. It's just their business model, right? But they pull in these collaborators. And again, like I don't really want to be doing the stuff that they're doing, but I want to be experiencing the thing they're experiencing. Where it's like you get to actually collaborate with these people who really know what they're doing. We move things forward. We make an impact, monetized, whatever. And I've had those like flitting moments of that, but it's never carried over, you know? And so I
feel like there's a bunch of people who have the exact talent you or I or we have. And the way that they've solved this is they made their agency focus on nonprofits or Alzheimer's research or something like that. And I don't know why that doesn't feel like the answer to me now that I'm saying it.
ADHD? No.
Yeah. Like
specialization requires focus.
Oh, maybe that is part of it, actually. That I mean, the idea of niching down to being like a designer for lawyers and just pumping out lawyer sites all the rest of my life or something.
I mean, this is like conversations I've had with people in the bureau. They're like, you need to niche, you need to narrow down, you need to focus on one thing and really own that space. And I'm like, that sounds really boring.
Yeah.
It could be really rewarding. Maybe it is. But my initial reaction is like, why would I want to? I could see working on a project, a couple projects in that space, but always that forever? Like, ugh. No, I'd want to switch it up and do different things. And
me too. But at the same time, when I think about going in-house somewhere, the idea that I could have something that's mine and nurture it for, a longer period of time than like a sort of a put the blinders on project.
Yeah.
There is something warming about that. And like foot off your neck, like you don't have to stay late to get this done today. Like we're working on this for months. Like get it done tomorrow. I guess that is different though than just having an agency that does all nonprofits, because then you're doing the same thing all the time and you always have the foot on your neck. But
yeah, I don't know. I think both of us, the takeaway from this is we don't know what the answer is. So if anybody has waited this long for an answer, you're fucked as we are.
Yes. Tune in next time.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe, and what I'm, congratulations.
Sorry. Yeah, thanks.
I think you just do the react in 2 parts and you do the applause. There we go.
I think I had mine turned off.
Oh, I turned mine off. I hate that thing. Where was I going with that? See, ADHD. Oh yeah. What I'm really concerned about is that I do know what the answer is and I just don't want to do it.
Beautiful. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like I have not made income wise. Like if I would have had a job at a place with amazing benefits, paying for more stress-free preventative healthcare decisions for the last 15 years, I would have made at least twice what I've made being on my own. I know that if I went and got a job, there would be downsides and there would be these massive upsides. And it truly feels good to provide for yourself and for your family, to see the same big check show up in your bank account every 2 weeks or whatever. Like those are legitimate dopamine squirting, good feel things. And I cannot, there's a block in me that will not let me consider that as a real possibility. And it's an injustice to my family, frankly. I am choosing
I get it.
my own actualization, my own precious top of the Maslow pyramid stuff over providing in a more substantive way for them. Yeah. So I don't know. And I also, I'm guessing you have this too. I also think about like, my great grandparents had fucking nothing. My grandparents had slightly more than nothing. My parents had like lower middle nothing. And I'm still finding more than any that none of them complained as much as, at least externally, that I'm aware of, as much as I do.
Yeah.
I mean, there was more beatings, more children were getting beat up. I'm whinging about not being able to work in this office versus that office for not too many hours a day, like for 8 hours a day, doing this as my hardest labor.
I'm telling you, man, it is a completely human thing. We fill up space with pain, and guarantee those great grandparents were filling up their space with their own pain. Way back then, it definitely was children should be seen and not heard, and leave the fucking house and don't listen to us. Guarantee the conversations they were having were at least conceptually similar to the ones that we have with our families, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is a very human thing and therefore acceptable, understandable. You can't let it stay there, but to fill the space with discomfort and whinging about inability to do X, Y, and Z, right? Because we live in a time where we have enough time to be able to do that. Not everybody on the planet, obviously, but you and I in this moment have that space to do it. And because of it, we have time to think. And then
our biography points to a higher on the Maslow point, like a pointy part of the triangle.
Yeah. While looking at that foundation, it's not solid.
Yeah. But right? It is, I mean,
for me, speaking for me.
No, you're a terrible, pathetic case of this. I'm not talking about you.
Thank you.
No.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. Thanks.
No, I'm thinking
is over.
Yeah. Did you have it in your cards? Somebody? I'm so sorry. I feel so terrible for having joked.
That's my bingo card. Finally, someone has seen the real me.
You're a sweetheart, and I hope that none of that sticks.
Yeah, fuck it.
But 2 million years of humans on the earth, 90% of that time worrying about getting enough food each day. Then the rest of the time, a lot of the same, you zoom out and got a roof. I've got a big roof. I've got, all those yada, yada, yada. Like this is the I think I've heard it called white man's guilt or something. And it's a pretty apt. I'll take that. Like I am demographically suited for this exact internal dynamic, I guess. So, what do you typically talk about on these things? Is it like, hey, what about that latest UX trend? Or is
Yes, because I think if anybody has understood anything about me over the past couple of decades is that I love UX trends. I think they're so important.
So cool.
And it's good to chase them and not focus on fundamentals at all. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, fundamentals will take care of themselves.
Sure. Somebody else will do it.
Yeah. And they're not shiny. Nobody's paying for.
Again, from a human perspective, I understand it. From even just a professional perspective, leave it alone. Like, stop. Fix your shit first. Then play with the shiny things.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that. And some of it, I will say, is a lot of them are being told to go follow the trend stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not.
We're seeing a lot of this. We need to get some of that. Like, it seems to be working.
Oh, yeah.
Measured by what?
Our competitor has an AI, so we have to have an AI.
Yeah.
What is there? Is there a competitor getting any benefit from the AI? No. Well, we still need to have it because we have to look competitive.
And again, like if I'm the one sitting in that room, oh, man.
Yeah. Again, it's like humans have this capacity to fill the space with worry. You were talking about worrying about finding food to get through the day. All right, solve that for a good portion of the planet, but we still have that fundamental habit that is both learned and the other one inherited to worry about things,
I guess I guess flipped around, that is striving. Like that is the almost biological constant, the urge to improve and strive. And now I can connect it to something that feels scientific and useful.
And that's exactly what we've been talking about this whole hour is we want to continue striving. Where? And I think for me at least, it's like that's the block right now is I need to find some place that I can continue doing that striving. Because right now, because I don't have that, I just have the worry. And it doesn't have that outlet of working a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm trying to do the thought exercise of imagining 2 years from now or 8 years from now. I don't know. I'm not willing to round. Like, what is it? Like, where am I? And for you, where do I picture you? Where you're like, you're at that place and you're looking back and you're like, oof, man, I was searching. I was unmoored. It was very uncomfortable and costly for me for a long time. And boy, it's good to be almost matured, almost to the point where I've grown and I've got my roots or whatever. I'm planted and I feel more secure in this place that I have found myself toward. Like I have grown myself toward. And the only thing that comes to mind is that it's someplace kind of, for lack of a better word, quieter. It feels to me, and likely for you, but I don't know. At 22, it was like working at some sexy global consultancy that was going to work with the Fortune 50 brands. And like you could go home to mom and tell her about what you did. And she'd be like, I have no idea what those words are, but boy, I know that company. I buy their stuff at the mall or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, I just want to, like I said, like not Toto or what's the bidet one, whatever. Like I want to work with like the most boring brake parts company or, I guess what I'm saying is I want my work to be unintelligible to normal people as well as who I'm doing it for. I just want it to be like, well, I guess that's untrue. Hold on. I got to totally reel that back. Like, I think it's actually, not sorry, but like.
That's okay. This is a normal conversation.
Is this how they work? I have learned I apologize too much. I want the products actually to make a lot of sense to normal people. Toilet bowls,
but for them to not have to think about
cardboard boxes. Yeah.
It makes sense. They don't have to think about it because it just fucking works.
It just is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, someplace that is just sort of quietly a company that is just humming along, doing its thing the best it can. It's been around for some number of probably decades and probably will be for some number of decades more, but probably not centuries. It's got a bunch of people, but not so many people that everybody in town relies on them or has heard of them or something. It's, maybe it works out of an office park in the like industrial wasteland of over there in your town, where all the people walk on the side of the road in sad business casual clothing to get a mediocre sandwich from the place in the parking lot over there. And then if that's some happy version of that, less morose than I finished, if that's the direction, is that direction? And if so, how do I start paddling in that direction?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question.
Yeah. You figured I did the question, you do the answer. It'll be 50-50.
Is that the deal? Okay.
Yeah. And then share it.
I think the answer is do that. All right. Well done, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're going to switch gears. It's time for 7 plus or minus 2 questions.
I can remember that.
I will give you a bit of guardrails around it by saying there are no guardrails. Whatever comes to mind is the right answer. If you want to answer professionally, personally, don't want to answer, who cares? Ready?
I just had the fart joke come back in my head, and I'm like, no, okay. Clear out. I don't want that to be the center of my semantic priming for these plus or minus 2 questions.
No, that's taking it too far.
How quick are you expecting these to be punchy staccato lightning round, or is it not like that?
That's what editing is for.
Okay. So make me sound
all right,
quick-witted.
I will make you sound plausibly intelligent.
That's all I ever want.
Ready?
Yep.
Yeah, someday I too hope to be plausibly intelligent. Question 1, what's something you did recently that went really well?
The first thing that comes to mind is the early work for that client I was talking about earlier. They used phrases like over the moon and love, 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 and things like that over and over again. And in ways that that they said made them feel like more was possible and made them feel like this whole thing that was a gamble for them might pay off. So I always talk about live for that moment where I see the client's shoulders come down an inch because they were like worried.
Yeah.
It was like a drawn out version of that. So that felt great. I love that client. Yes. I don't want to, anyway.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Why can't we have nice things?
Capitalism? I hate that as a reactive Reddit level troll kind of answer, but it does seem like there is a self-interestedness requisite in the system. There's a scarcity to resources, and so we have to compete for them. And so we're going to compete. In competing, I was going to say the best will win. That's not quite it. The most willing to go grab resources will win. And so the motivation, the measure by which who has more stuff is not just who deserves the most stuff. It's who's grabbing the most stuff. So this all feels like it's a very abstract response to, well, I guess that's a very abstract question too, isn't it?
There's no wrong answer to any of these
questions. Right. No, it wasn't so much wrong as like, I think it would be entertaining for my own brain now to connect it more directly with, I think by nice things, we usually don't mean, why can't I have a shiny Rolls Royce? I think we more mean, why can't I understand my cable bill? Or why can't I feel like my water is priced fairly? Or why can't we all ride bikes down perfectly manicured paths to a job that's, whatever.
Yeah. No wrong answer.
Ultimately, money is literally the currency that we use to translate value for things. It seems that there has proven to be a misalignment between the things we value and the things we assign money to. I think sometimes it's not as measurable. I think if we had a national happiness index, like I've heard talked about, and if we were able to have some brave generation of politicians push that to be more important than the GDP or whatever fucking Wall Street numbers are getting headlines, and we could figure out a way to, monetize and reward and quantify just straight up happiness. Like money is just an indirect path. Ultimately, we're just all trying to get to more happiness. And money usually means you can afford more of that and less of unhappiness. If there was a way to go after that more directly, I think we'd have more nice things. Anyway.
Yeah.
To a point. Oh, yeah. I was going to hit on that earlier when you were talking about, we fill space with pain or something, is the studies of the humans. Each individual has a set point of contentedness or happiness. Right, the studies on lottery winners who they have it and then they come back to their spot, or people who have survived awful things. They deal with it. They lost a limb in a war, whatever it is. They're really low for a while and then they come back to their set point. So I do subscribe to this theory that we all have a set point for tension, internal tension, or contentedness or something. I'm trying to convince myself to meditate consistently because I think that maybe might be a way to push that set point around.
Yes, I've heard good things about meditation.
Yeah. Some of my closest friends are meditators.
Yeah. All right, question number 3. What is the biggest earthquake you've ever been in?
Here in San Diego. So I lived in D.C. before this, Pittsburgh before that, New Jersey before that. Those are places that don't have, assuming we're talking about physical, actual earthquakes, don't have much of those. San Diego has more, but not many more. But yeah, not too bad. I think like a 4 point something. Enough where I felt that the earth doesn't go like this. It goes like this.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. How about you?
Okay. It's probably in the 6s.
That's like 100 times stronger than a 4, isn't it?
It's an Alaska 6, so that's cooler. No, I don't know.
I feel worse for having even thought of the joke.
It's kind of one of those, I will say, I don't know that this is actually true, but it's one of those things that is repeated often enough that it becomes true in your mind. Of when earthquakes happen in Alaska, it's a release of tension. And when they happen down here on the West Coast, it's a building of tension towards something bigger. And so when you have bigger ones, like obviously there's the major one that was like a 9.2 or something in central Alaska. But when you have those higher ones, it's like, oh, thank goodness, because it means we're not going to have them for a while because it's that release of tension.
Got it.
So it's got sort of a positive element to it. Again, is this
There's a
geologically
fable in here
accurate?
somewhere.
I don't know, but
well, I
that's
took my
what I grew up knowing.
Sorry. Yes, sorry. Sorry for interrupting. That's how video calls work. They're terrible. It does feel like there's a fable in there somewhere about releasing tension and earthquakes not always being scary or not always being bad news. I will say that I took my kids, my daughter and her chaperone school trip to the university across the highway has a geology department, and we learned about earthquakes, and we learned that the tectonic plates, the way they're moving, is consistent with that. That if it's sliding towards the West Coast and making mountains and making as they crunch up, and it's moving away on the other side. So there's earthquakes that happen when plates slide side to side. Different kinds happen when they
crash together, yeah,
and then different kinds when they come
subduct
apart.
and yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That.
See, look at us, sort of knowing a topic area and diving into it with
nothing could
abandon.
be more UX designer than sort of knowing
That's
a
correct.
topic. Yes,
that's right. All right, what's the best road trip you've ever taken?
Oh, fuck, that's easy. Well, no. So I talked myself right out of it. I moved across the country. I drove across the country 3 times, and each of those is kind of sort of tied for the best. Although the last one was with my soon-to-be wife and my 80-pound lab in a Mini Cooper convertible. So the convertible took up almost all of the trunk. The dog took up almost all of the back seat. So it was, and we did it 3 or 4 weeks. I think that one was 4 weeks. So it has to be that one. We also, though, drove for our honeymoon. We drove all over Costa Rica, and we did that for 3 weeks. So that's right up there, too. But I got to give it to the one where it's me, my wife, and my dog, well, future wife and my dog, in a great, zippy, pretty, sporty little car, parking in front of national monuments and taking pictures of my dog wagging his tongue out of the back seat. It was great.
And then I'm going to do the last question because we're kind of hitting a time thing.
Okay.
So this one's the gotcha question. It's not really.
I'll prepare.
All right, ready? Imagine it's a year from now. Okay. What do you hope to not be carrying anymore?
I mean, I am too in therapy right now for this to go anywhere else other than very personal.
And you have full agency to the extent to which you answer this question.
Yeah.
You can say anywhere from, we've been talking for 6 hours now and it's time to stop, and that'll be $600. Fuck you, Matthew. This conversation's over.
Yeah, I do want it on the record that I'm getting paid $600, well, $100 an hour for this, for anybody who you try to get roped in for the future.
Yeah, I pay guests.
I mean, what came into my mind and blocked out everything else was, I hope that I am not carrying, I don't know that I'm going to expound on this a whole lot. I hope that I'm not carrying the worry that I'm not going to be okay. I don't need to be okay, but you want to know that things are going to work out.
Yeah.
And I've always known that. Very seldom have I had that knowledge. And by knowledge, I mean certainty, that things are generally okay. I've had that chipped at a little bit, and it's being chipped at again for maybe only the third time maybe in my life. And it's not a good feeling because the chipping is going down. That is not, So I think a year is a good timeline for me to have hopefully shoved forward into some space, some part of my life where maybe I haven't fixed whatever it is, but I know that I can and I will. And it feels inevitable in a way that it no longer feels inevitable. So, any prospective clients who might be watching this, let's work together.
Yeah.
I'm in touch with my all my sides.
I mean, I would rather work with a real human.
Same.
And that's not disparaging AI.
I didn't take it to be about that.
Future overlord. But it's like, I want to work with somebody who's going to help me move my shit forward, call me on my shit, be open to me calling them on their shit, like, and ultimately is the motivation behind it all is helping us all get better at the stuff we're doing, So
yeah, I want to work with somebody who's got
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, and I think that's who you are. That's, to me, you are somebody who's willing to call people on their shit and willing to be called on it, right?
Yeah, no,
because
it brings me great
ultimately
joy
the
to be
goal
called on
is
shit.
to get better at the stuff we do, not to tear each other down, but to lift each other up. And so that's why I'd rather work with a person who's willing to talk about their worries and willing to step in and help lift things up, so.
I also feel like somebody who's willing to put oxygen into these kinds of parts of us will help you, a client, achieve or raise beyond the 4 bullets under the success metrics part of the PRD or whatever. They're going to see and hear you and support. Like, the dumb example that I don't think is, I need a better one, but there was a project I worked on way back when that was a redesign that at some point we learned was triggered when the boss's wife was showing the thing at a party and it didn't load well or something. But like, that's well after the PRD was written in the success metrics and blah, blah, blah. But like, it felt important. But it felt important to know that. It felt important at some point that we had the conversation and he trusted us enough to tell us that. I mean, in a sort of underpowered example, like, we're going to make sure that whatever we work on at every phase looks good on a phone. So that when she pulls it up at, so that she and he, when they look at it, they feel reassured. But there's a million quiet little ways that we can make somebody feel better about getting where they want to go, and also more actually get to where they really actually want to get to. If we just are willing to chit chat
and be real with each other.
Yeah, chit chat sounds superficial, but I mean it more.
I know what you meant, though. Like,
yeah,
like
you're in a meeting talking about whatever,
not
want to
just
actually chat.
Yeah,
not just come to closure. So good, gotcha.
Right on. Let's stop talking.
Well, thank God. And I think partially to Carl's point, bring it back to that, but like, part of what he said in there is one of the ways to help with this apathy is to talk to people. Like, it's pretty one-on-one, but like, don't just talk about updates on the industry and blah, blah, like all that stuff, but like, actually talk and hear that other people are thinking about these things, and just become aware you're not a weirdo. You're not alone. You're not less than, it's just, this is, I think these are things that thoughtful people think about, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read what Carl wrote yet, but where my mind goes with that is talking about this stuff regularly with multiple people, seeing how they think about it, having them hear how you think about it. I feel the apathy is still going to be there, but it's going to have less weight.
Yeah.
It's going to take up less space. It's going to be more surmountable.